Dig deep, Casey. Be a pansy.
Seriously.
Something like that.
It's true, though.
But how was your night's rest?
Amazing.
They're going to say, did you see Julie McQueen? She was hammered. When she gets drunk, she looks like a dude.
Like, it looks like it's
Come on,
unlocked.
Aaron. You can figure it out.
I'll come across Brent and smack the out of you after I stretch.
We are very blessed today to have our special guest, Miss Julie McQueen. Say hi, Julie.
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
That's probably better.
Yeah, it's better.
Did you say it was Viagra gave you a heart attack?
It gave me a first heart attack when I was 21.
All right. Well,
Whatever. Anyway.
One does not simply walk into Mordor.
I am very system, and it was the Cialis that got me at 28.
Nobody says Louisville, man.
That's right. Thank you, Sean. You know, and I'm looking right here. I see a bunch of positive people.
it looks like the Mountain Ops booth is the place to be.
Yeah, seriously.
You know?
One of us is going to die.
And he loops like a, it's like a shiitake mushroom. Things like
This old highway's getting longer. I was self-taught, yeah.
Hey, you're one of those people that piss me off.
I think Bowman cast.
I know. Seriously.
Bowman podcast.
It's like when there's carbon in the air, there's hope.
You're like really close to my comfort zone here, though. I'll take that as a compliment.
Often.
Hey, everybody. Daniel Lee Martin here with Julie McQueen and the Gritty Bowmen and his baby brother.
This is Cameron Haynes, and you're watching the Gritty Bowmen.
I'm Brandon Bates. He's Easton Corbett. You're listening to the Gritty Bowmen Show.
What he said.
This is Wishes for Warriors, and you're watching the Gritty Bowmen Show.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, I'm Eva Shockey, and you are listening to the Gritty Bowmen.
This is Kenton Clairmont from Train to Hunt, and you're watching the Gritty Bowmen. Gosh, I have a really amazing voice. It's a good thing because this face is made for radio.
The Gritty Bowmen.
I want to block your view over there.
It's all right because you just put your hands up all the time and you talk with your hands, and so you just cover my face.
I'm just going to do this.
Just like, yeah.
I do not talk with my hands. I don't know what you're talking about.
I do not.
With my hands? My hands?
What?
You guys look good.
Hey.
Yeah, well,
Hi, Mom.
look at these eyes. These eyes say, I got an hour and a half sleep last night.
On this episode of Gritty Bowmen, we visit with friends Kenton Clairmont and Jesse Wise. Kenton is the founder and owner of Train to Hunt. Working out and hunting are the two things that Kenton has always loved to do. He was a four-sport athlete in high school, a state champ in wrestling, and a collegiate baseball player. After a year in the minor leagues, he returned to school for his master's degree in sports psychology. After graduation, he began his career as a personal trainer, and it was his love for hunting, the outdoors, and helping people that inspired him to start Train to Hunt. He is an avid bow hunter and a fitness coach. Jesse Wise is the Train to Hunt director in my home state, Oregon. Jesse and I met at the ATA show, and since then we've hit the weights together in my ghetto basement home gym. Jesse has started a brand called Unashamed Outdoors to share his Christ-centered values and his love of the outdoors. Kenton is the real deal when it comes to fitness. He's a student of healthy living. His company, Train to Hunt, is inspiring hunters to get in shape for hunting and for life. The Train to Hunt community is pretty cool. Regardless of your fitness level, I encourage you to check it out.
If you like the show, please go to our website at grittybowmen.com and subscribe to this podcast and tell your mates and pals about us. Do us a favour and please take a moment to leave us a rating or a review on iTunes or on our YouTube channel. Send your questions and podcast ideas to grittybowmen@gmail.com. If you're listening to this on iTunes, you can see the video version of this podcast on our website at www.grittybowmen.com.
That's right over.
That's amazing, honestly, because...
You wanted to, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, Brian.
It was karma.
I know it, right?
All right, folks. Welcome to the Gritty Bowmen podcast.
Take
Gritty
two.
Bowmen.
Yeah. We are here at the ATA show. I'm here with Kenton and Jesse. Kenton Clairmont and Jesse Wise with Train to Hunt. And we're going to sit here and get to know each other a little better. I got to know Jesse a little bit on the way here because we flew on the plane together and we shot some podcasts on our layover on our flight. We haven't slept, actually, by the way, since yesterday.
Yeah.
So,
sleep.
I mean, you know.
Who needs sleep?
It's for the week. Aaron says I should sleep faster. Then I get more done. Yeah. Yeah, I've been wanting to meet you for a while, Ken, and I've been wanting to talk to you about Train to Hunt, and so now's my chance. So,
and I feel like I know you already because I'm such a huge fan of the podcast, and
That's awesome.
It seems like I'm always seeing your mug on my computer screen.
Yeah.
So it's good to finally meet you, and I'm excited about doing a podcast and just talking about Train to Hunt.
Yeah. So tell me how did you get started in Train to Hunt? Why did you do it?
So really it came down to this. I knew a ton of people who were sick of the gym scene. You know, I've trained every style of person, everybody with goals from a 74-year-old woman who didn't want to slip on the ice in the wintertime, just wanted some confidence to be able to walk outside and not fall down, to NFL football players. And, you know, in the hunting world, a lot of guys just like, man, I'm not into the gym scene. I just can't do another bench press. I can't do another bicep curl, right?
Yeah.
And I realized that I don't train that way for hunting, and I should come up with a program to help people get fit for hunting and do it the way they want to do it. There's something all bow hunters have in common. They love to shoot their bow. They love to shoot their bow.
Yeah.
And so I kind of took that concept that I know I can get people to go outside and shoot their bow. So why not make a workout around that idea? So get guys out there doing hunting movements like picking up sandbags, walking with some sandbags, doing box step-ups, box jumps, burpees, moving their bodies really efficiently, mixed in with some backpack workout. There's some days, Brian, all we do is put on a bunch of weight on our pack and we walk for an hour and just see how far we can make it in that hour.
Yeah.
And so because people were tired of going to the gym, I said, I'll make you a workout program that will, number one, get you out working out, shooting your bow during your workouts, and get you ready for hunting season. And that's really as basic as it was. And these guys did. The people that didn't want to go to the gym, they grabbed their bow, they grabbed their backpack, and said, let's go work out. Because I feel like too often people think that it's not a workout unless I'm in a gym surrounded by treadmills, clanging dumbbells with mirrors. And people don't understand. You can get just as good a workout. In fact, a better workout specifically for hunting, because you don't hunt inside. You hunt outside. You hunt out in the elements. You hunt with your boots on. You hunt with a pack on your back. You shoot your bow. You know, in that moment of truth, your heart rate's going to be high. You're going to have to calm yourself down and make that shot, right?
Yeah.
So simulate that as best you can. You can't simulate that adrenaline rush you get when that big bull's coming in, but you can practice calming yourself down and then focus and taking a shot. And that's what the Train to Hunt program does, is it just gives people opportunities to practice hunting.
Yeah.
So
with your background, you know, we talked about this a little bit. You did some CrossFit, didn't you?
Yeah, in fact, I think it was like 2003. I think 2003, I opened a CrossFit gym with Dan Staten, and we owned that box together for 5 years. And once I found the CrossFit philosophy and that program, I found it before anybody really even knew about it. In fact, Brian, when we opened the CrossFit gym in Spokane, we were taking people up the streets and just pulling them in and doing it for free, because you're like, you got to do this. Just come in and do it. And all you do CrossFit. Once you do that style of workout, you're hooked. You're like, oh, no more clanging dumbbells and no more. And it's competitive. And I'm an athlete. I've been an athlete my whole life, and so I really like that competitive nature of the CrossFit programming mixed with preparing for anything,
right?
Which I'm a huge proponent of. I love the idea.
So what are some of the things you took from CrossFit that you've applied? Just for this is just from Brian Call personally.
Sure.
I mean, a lot of people don't know
Yeah.
that are listening don't know about CrossFit, but for me and for those that do, I just want to know, like, what kind of aspects did you pull from CrossFit that you liked? What are the things you didn't like that you kind of left behind?
I really liked the constantly varied. That was probably one of my favorite things about CrossFit, and it continued in Train to Hunt. Is that
not boring? It's
right. It's not really repetitive.
Every single workout.
That's right. And so I like the variation of all the workouts. The things that I liked probably the most were how it increased people's work capacity by challenging them. I believe that people are just in spirit competitive.
Yeah.
Even if it's just them versus them, I think a lot of people can probably get a better workout if they're working out right next to somebody because they'll just push a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But even if a clock is going, we're all little kids. I'm telling you, we're all little kids. Remember when you were a little kid and somebody would go get this, and you're like, huh? And they go, I'll time you. Boom, you're out the door.
Yeah.
Because
I played like basketball in the city league.
Yeah.
That would satisfy my competitive hunger.
Yeah.
And then I'd go and work out at the gym just to work out.
Yeah.
I didn't combine the two really.
Right.
Like kind of what CrossFit did. CrossFit sort of put the two together, which allowed me to satisfy that competitive drive, but also get a workout in.
That's right.
But at the same time, there's some pros and cons to that because anytime you add competition into fitness, it's a recipe for injury.
It can be, for sure. And, I mean, obviously, CrossFit's been around long enough that everybody out there that knows, if you don't know about CrossFit, if you listen to this podcast and you go try to check one out, just do your research and ask questions to the coaches. Find out what their backgrounds are. Make sure they're not somebody who just went and did a weekend certification and then are calling themselves a coach. Make sure that they have, more experience than that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, there are a lot of really good coaches out there. With that said, the cool part about it, that was almost like an aha moment, because I have a lot of education in exercise science and physiology of exercise, and it was work capacity. It's all about work capacity. It's all about decreasing the amount of time it takes you to move loads from A to B, whether it be sit and stand up or actually physically pick it up and move it.
Yep.
The one thing, there's quite a few things that I didn't bring from the CrossFit community or the CrossFit theory, I guess, or philosophies. There's certain movements I think that are good to train your nervous system. Snatch is one of them. To go from the ground overhead. Number one, I think that there's no real use for that in hunting. There's not a situation where you're going to have to take a large load from the ground and go directly overhead before shouldering it. Now, a clean and jerk, I can argue that there's going to be some clean and jerks going on in the mountains when you're maybe hoisting the hind quarter up the tree or something.
Yeah.
Hold it on your shoulder and then push it up as they pull it up. But a snatch, for instance, there's no real benefit of trying to increase the amount of weight that you can squat snatch, because number one, it's a very, very technical movement.
Yeah.
That you need years of training to do really well.
Right.
And it's a movement I don't think should be a timed movement. You shouldn't do 50 snatches as fast as you can, because your technique's going to go out the window. Now, Brian, that could just be me getting old too, but
no,
but it's true.
I totally agree with you. I still haven't figured out where I stand on all that, because when you go and you grab a bar, right, and you do a snatch, I can do it very slowly, controlled, and stick it, and then I start to, then it's in a wad, let's say, and now I'm doing them for time. I start throwing those up, and it's going to happen. My form's going to break down just because I'm getting tired. I'm breathing heavy.
Yep.
But that's where I try to focus, suck it up, slow it down. If I can't keep good form, then I have the discipline to say, okay, I need to slow down.
Slow down. Yeah.
And my goal the whole time is keep the form at all costs. Keep good form as I'm doing the movement.
First and foremost.
but still trying to do it for time.
Yeah.
So I push the two together.
Mhm.
But I think the risk is that people often just focus on the time.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how the bar gets from ground to overhead, just as long as it gets there.
That's right. Because the standard is from here to
there.
And there's
anything in between is
it's up to you, however you want to do
yeah.
it. And I think there's neural benefits to that.
Yeah.
Because it's such a huge compound movement that everything has a fire, and you're going to recruit more muscle fibers, and there's a lot of benefit to it. But
there's a lot of risk.
There's a lot of risk, and in the hunting world, and to go back to what you know, I'm not sure how I feel about that. This is how I feel about it.
Yeah.
If you came to me and said, Kenton, I want you to train me, I'd say, Brian, what are your goals? If you tell me I want to be a competitive Olympic lifter or a CrossFit competitor, we're gonna be doing snatches.
That's
we're
what
gonna
the
be
goal
doing
is.
snatches.
Yeah.
If you tell me I'm gonna be a hunter, which is what I'm focusing on, I want to train the outdoorsman. I want to train the hunter, the backpacker, those guys. There's no the reward isn't great enough. I can strengthen them in endurance and flexibility and with other things and really cut the risk factor of getting hurt way down.
Yeah.
And that's what Train to Hunt does. The Train to Hunt training program focuses on hunting movements. Now, the thing I have to get creative with is how I want to train those movements or those muscles or those modalities or like stamina and cardio. Legs and lungs, baby. That's what hunters are really made of, right? We're legs and lungs. But you also have to be able to handle a load.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't handle a 100-pound pack coming out, well, then you better have some great endurance because you're making 2 or 3 trips.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And maybe that's who you are, and that's fine. But you got to know yourself. You got to know that's who I am. I'm not going to try and I haven't been training with a heavy pack.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to get hurt. I'm just going to cut it in half and go twice.
See, so let's get into, because I'm 41. You're
42.
42.
You guys are old.
So Jesse here is a young 37.
He's a pup.
Yeah, he's just a baby. Like, it doesn't really fall apart till the 4-0, you know.
Pretty much.
We'll see. We'll see.
So, but what I was going to say is, you know, for me, one of the things I stick with and I try to do all the time is I try to get stronger in terms of overall just strength.
Okay.
And I'm hyper focused on mobility, because as I get older, I feel like being flexible, having full strength through the full range of motion of my shoulder joint or my hip or my ankle, all that stuff, full range of motion in those joints, and strength through that full range of motion. I should say strength through that full range of motion is, I think, part of what really helps a guy age well.
Correct. I agree. You look at somebody 20 years older than us, Brian. Look at somebody 65, 7 years old, the majority of that age group. The first thing you'll notice is just that they're just not as mobile.
Yeah.
Okay? They're just not as mobile.
You'll tell a guy, hey, put your hands above your head, and he'll put his arms up, and this is as far as he can take them.
And that's it. Right. So here's the way I look at it. We were talking about this on the way over here is that I feel like, and you're in the same boat, man. Like, you're 41 years old, and you're in good shape. You're in really good shape. I mean, you're probably top 1% for guys your age or guys our age. Imagine if we could just do what we can do right now, strength-wise, mobility-wise, at 65, 70.
That's my goal.
You see what I'm saying? So
yeah.
So I always have to fight this urge to get stronger, like you said.
Yeah.
I'm always looking to get stronger through my full range of motion. Not that I don't try to get stronger, but my focus isn't to get way stronger.
Yeah. No, I think I know where you're going, and I totally agree. Like, if I can squat 2 times my body weight.
Yep.
I'm like, that's bad to the bone. All right.
Yeah.
And for anything that we're doing, that's solid.
Yeah.
Right. And if I can do that for a couple squats and call it good, same with like bench press. You get half your body weight or whatever, 2.5 times. You have these different kind of markers you can pick, right?
Deadlift.
They're solid numbers that show you have a basic level of strength. Now, do I care if I can squat 3 times my body weight, 2.5 times? I start to go, well, first of all, that's a huge commitment. That's a lot more, it's a lot of focus and energy put into that.
Yeah.
Is that really where I'm going to get my gains for hunting? And my conclusion is no.
Right. And you're right. Right,
Yeah.
and you're right. Like, can you imagine a situation where, maybe if you and Will Bradley went hunting, or you and Aaron, you might have to throw him over your shoulders, but that's an extreme case. But I guess what we're getting at is that once you reach a certain level of strength, and I would argue that if you can do, 1.5, 2 times your body weight in your back squat, 2.5 times your body weight in the deadlift, you can do your body maybe 1.5 times your body weight in bench.
Yeah. These numbers.
These are upper numbers. These are not just you have a basic.
No, these are.
This is not just a basic level of fitness. This is a
high level
of fitness. We have to fight these urges. We have to fight our egos, and we have to fight because we grew up in the Schwarzenegger, Columbo, bodybuilding. It's all about how big and strong we are, and I'm guilty as charged. I went through that whole bodybuilding phase, and then I couldn't get strong enough phase, and I couldn't get big enough phase, and then right into my early 30s, I was like, look, I'm not training for football, baseball, wrestling. I'm training for hunting.
Yeah.
And I broke down hunting. What does hunting require me to do? What is worst case scenario in hunting? Worst case scenario would be I would have to take my hunting partner from the field to the hospital. And I have to drag him. I have to carry him.
Find a way to get him out.
Yeah. And that's worst case scenario. So if I train for that, I feel like if I can train for that and prepare for that, I can do everything else that hunting requires. And along the way, I'm gonna develop, some serious mental toughness.
I agree. My only thing is, like, if I go running, right? Like I know a lot of guys who can just run forever.
Yeah.
And they can also carry heavy loads. But if I ask them to do a squat or an overhead squat, they couldn't get their bodies into that position if their life depended on it.
Yeah.
They don't have the mobility to do that.
That's right.
They don't have the range of motion throughout the joints. That's the part that sort of when I first started doing CrossFit, I thought I was pretty fit. I was doing P90X. I was playing basketball in the city league like 3 days a week, and I was banging down. I was going pretty hardcore. I was lifting weights and I was running a lot. But then I went to CrossFit and I had to do like a squat or an overhead squat, and
like
I was
like
an overhead. I'm like, I couldn't like.
Right.
I couldn't even come close. I didn't have any ankle mobility. I didn't have the hip. I didn't have the shoulder. I tried to do some rings, like muscle ups, and I thought I was going to rip my shoulder out of socket. I'm like, this is insane. How do people get up on these? And I started to realize that 2 things. One, my body mechanics were in the toilet. Like, I didn't know good movement. So when I pressed the bar overhead, I got my elbows out here and I'm doing like weird crap that's just whatever I can do to get overhead.
Right.
Not realizing that, I'm doing push-ups out here, instead of like in close. I'm moving my body where it's mechanically disadvantaged.
Right.
And on top of that, I don't have the mobility to do half of the other stuff I wanted to do.
Right.
Like a pistol or a one-legged squat, that wasn't happening.
Right.
So even though I had muscle and I had some level of
athleticism,
I still couldn't like do a proper squat.
Yeah.
Like get down in the right position, like a deep squat. Yeah. Well, that sort of like that was a big eye opener for me, and then as I started doing some of these exercises through the full range, it wasn't until I started really using weights that I could stretch myself into those those levels of mobility.
Right.
And now that I've got what I've got, I move so much better, and I don't get injured like I used to.
Right.
And I'm so much more efficient. And it's a combination, because it's not just do I have the mobility, but I also understand more about how to move.
The biomechanics.
What's, no one teaches us really to run. You just run.
Right.
Well, there's some good ways to run and some bad ways to run.
Right.
And same with, climbing, pulling, you do a rope or pushing, all that stuff. There's the right way to do it, and there's some really bad ways to do it. And that's where movement and, that mobility thing became a focus for me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, most of the guys I know and guys at my age, I'm talking about stuff that's way beyond their level and where they're at.
They're out.
They're out. They're like, they just need to get off the couch and move at all.
Right.
But for me, since this is my podcast and this is my selfish questioning, I want to get more into that whole stuff. Like, so with Train to Hunt, as you're designing the programming for it, what are you trying to? Are you accounting for some of that? Like,
yes,
helping a guy maintain mobility and gain mobility that he hasn't had, or
absolutely,
and good body mechanics, like how to move.
It's tough because I have to do it via video.
Yeah.
But we have warm-up videos where I go through warm-up movements. And I got two different style of warm-ups that I do. I probably could do a better job of explaining and breaking down each of those warm-up movements and talking about what range of motion, what you're looking at for, and what kind of...
Honestly, I started finding people on internet like Kelly Starrett or...
K-Star, man.
Yeah, I would go and Google Kelly Starrett squat.
Yep.
And then I just watch a YouTube video of him.
Yep.
So whenever I saw a workout or something and I didn't know what it was, I'd go and watch a video from him.
Yeah.
And then I would kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
And why reinvent the wheel? There's resources out there, but I think people need to know, when you say 20 push-ups and then you do this and then you do that.
Right.
It's not just 20 push-ups. It's 20 push-ups done with the right
correct
form.
Way. Mm-hmm. That's right. And I do have quite a catalog on each of the exercises that are prescribed each day.
Yeah.
Like if I do a push-up, a box jump, and a sandbag ground overhead, I actually link a video where you can sit and I go through, I am Kenton Clairmont, trained to hunt, and here is the push-up. And I go through hand positioning, head positioning, back positioning, focusing on the core, how to go down, touch your chest, head in neutral position. Don't arch don't look up because it's.
Is your shirt on or shirt off?
I am such a shirt on guy.
No, you're not. You're such a liar, dude.
I am. I would challenge anybody to go on the internet and find a picture of me with my shirt off.
I will.
My wife is always telling me, you got to take your shirt off. Like, these people want to see what they're working towards. I'm like, no, they don't. They don't. Like, they don't. Yeah, I am such a shirt on guy. And hey,
me too.
That's me. That's just me. And I guess I would be lying if I didn't laugh a little bit and have a little chuckle every time I see somebody that, dude, you have your shirt off a lot.
It works though. Like, what did I see? Like, the Fat Burning Man podcast, I think is what it's called. And I forget his name, but anyway, he put his picture of himself with his shirt off, and he goes, look, I had a different title. I put it up there, a different cover image. Nobody clicked on my podcast. Took my shirt off. Boom. I went through the roof.
Unreal.
And he's like, I went with the shirt off, and I know it seems like a sellout, but it works.
And you know what? In fact, Brian, I can now. That's 3 years ago. It's like 3 or 4 years ago. We had a photo shoot.
Yeah.
And we were out doing just regular pack on with a rack and just doing this photo shoot because we didn't have any pictures of Train to Hunt Challenge. None. It was the first year, right? And then this guy's like, oh, and it's snowing.
Yeah.
He's like, well, we got to get one with your shirt off. I'm like, it's snowing. He's like, just take your shirt off and run at the camera with your bow. So I did. And that one hit the internet, and was probably the biggest hit. Like, wow, that
Yeah.
there was everything from there's no way that this is natural. This guy's juicing to, wow, this guy's ripped or
Yeah.
But yeah, shirts off. It works. But I
think that's the one that inspired Jesse.
That's
Maybe.
what got me,
Got a little
man.
man
That's
crush.
what I saw.
He got a little man crush.
I
saw it.
I saw it in Eastman's Journal.
Oh,
and,
right.
And
Man,
then
I guess right. You're right.
And then it was all over, man. I was like, I got to go meet this crazy dude
Yeah.
running
Running in
in
the
the
snow.
woods with his shirt off and a bow.
And you did wonder why he had his
I'm
shirt off.
kind of like,
but at the same time, you're like, respect.
interesting. I respect, man. That dude's ripped, right? I want to be like him someday. And I'm actually trying to find this picture because he's a liar.
Yeah, that's true.
So there is one out there.
There is one out there.
There is.
There is one out there. And
I know what you mean, though.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
you know, it's to me, it's like it's really.
It's not what it's about.
It's the way it is, and I would really like. I just want to stick to. Here's the information. K-Star, one of the best information. If you don't know about Kelly Starlett, like, Google him. Mobility-wise, he's the king, in my opinion. Never see him with his shirt off. You know why? Because his information is good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that a picture, and admittingly, I remember whatever I got to do to get people to click on my post. Like, it's kind of a little bit of a desperate move to draw attention to yourself.
Yeah.
Well, I think. Sorry, guys, I'm not hating on anybody out there.
You have a whole toolbox.
Sure.
Everybody does. Of what they have to bring to the table to promote their ideas, their products, right? If you've got looks, then I don't begrudge anyone for using them. You know,
sure.
At the same time, you know, have some dignity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Once you got my attention, you can put your shirt on now. Like if I see like, man, that guy, I'm gonna go see what this guy's all about. When you get on stage and you got everybody's attention, you can go ahead and put your shirt on now. Now you got my attention. Whereas I think a lot of people out there, man, they just there's some people, I'm not sure if they own shirts. And I don't know.
Do you have any names?
Some of them go to the CrossFit gym with me.
And that's funny because there's a lot of that in the community, in the CrossFit community.
I
love the confidence. How about that? I like the one thing that I do like about the shirt off guy, even the selfie guy, is that he's confident. I mean, he's at least working on his confidence, and that's
and
good.
I would say
that's
for
good.
me too, I've never been a shirt off guy. Ever. And but I mean, shoot, after Train to Hunt, man, I mean, I would run with my shirt off.
Yeah.
You know, and it wasn't because I was like, hey, look at me. It was like, man, look at me. I can run with my shirt off,
Confident,
man, and I can be proud. You know, and so that's what it does, man, and that's kind of that picture, you know, of you running in the snow with your shirt off. You know, if you really think about it, you know, you go, oh, that was just advertising, right? But in the end, it's like, wow, that caught my attention. Like, what's this dude running in the snow with his shirt off? And the rest is history. Here I sit.
It's really, it's almost a form of, we don't need to beat it to death, but it's like when you're having a tough time and you see somebody with a lot of joy in their life. And they're just like surrounded by this aura of joy. You're also attracted to that person because they have something you want. And so when, in that case, Jesse, it might be like you see the guy with the shirt off and you go, I wish I had the confidence to run with my shirt off like that. And lo and behold, he did. And that's, Brian, at the heart of Train to Hunt, it's about confidence. It's about having the know that I've prepared enough to tear down some, if not all of those perceived limitations that I've set on myself in the past. Because
it's so interesting because to me, if you've done the shoots and you worked and you paid the price in the competition, you walk away from there going, have a whole new perspective when you go out hunting. And for a lot of guys who haven't killed an animal before, this can be like that. To me, I think this can be that step that helps you get to where you actually kill an animal because you're under pressure. You know, you've got all these people competing. You got people watching. That pressure simulates that real encounter with that elk in that moment, right? Then you got just the physical challenge of it.
Yep.
And you're like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. So many times when and I don't know about you, but so many times when I was up on the mountain and I was feeling like crap and I was tired, I was like, I knew I was nowhere near Redline because I've done Redline in the CrossFit gym.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I knew where Redline was. I was miles from it, and I was like, I've been through some suck fests at the gym.
Yeah.
So I knew like up there, I got juice.
Yep.
I can keep going.
Yep.
And it does help mentally to know how far you pushed yourself, so that when you're out there, you're not. I've been through worse.
It's fear.
So I can do this.
The fear won't stop you.
Yeah.
The fear of I don't know if I'm going to be okay, because you've done it in a controlled environment.
Right.
So you're at the CrossFit gym. You're out in your backyard doing the train to hunt workouts with your buddies, and you're pushing and pushing and pushing, and you redline, and you're like, I'm safe here. Nothing's bad's going to happen to me. If I pass out, I'm going to be okay because my buddies
I don't
got me
have an 8-mile trek out,
Right.
Off of a snowy mountain.
So you push through those walls of limitations day after day after day.
Yep.
And then you get up in the mountains and you start feeling a little bit of that suckfest, and you don't get scared.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm okay.
I'm okay.
Because I can slow down, or I can take my time a little bit. And one thing I want to touch on that we're kind of getting into is I listen to podcasts, a lot of podcasts, and I hear a lot of guys, talk about, and you ask guys a lot, and I appreciate it. I'm always all ears when you ask, so where do you think fitness falls into the hunting world? And almost always their first response is they write it off and say, as long as you're mentally tough. You got to be mentally tough first.
Right.
If you're not mentally tough, I don't care how physically prepared you are, you're not going to make it. I would argue that there are those guys out there that are just naturally, they've overcome enough adversity in their lives naturally, whether it be through their family, their upraising, they were raised with good work ethic or tough situations, or they've overcome enough adversity without having to put themselves in that adversity through workouts, that they're just mentally tough. And so they don't work out. They're probably your neighbor who has the ranch or the farm.
Yeah.
That they just live with that adversity all the time. If you don't have a ton of adversity in your life, and let's face it, not a ton of us do have physical adversity in our lives because we live in a technological world where we spend a lot of time on our butts.
Right.
Okay. So mental toughness comes from overcoming adversity, overcoming a stressor that you feel like you're going to run up against, and the unstoppable force meets the immovable object.
My wife had cancer, and she just went through chemotherapy, and it was just the stress of having cancer.
Yeah.
And then you got little kids, and are you going to be there for them? And then there's chemotherapy, and then you finish chemotherapy. But my wife is a different person today because of that. Now it's like things come her way, and she's like, I had cancer.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like a whole new...
Yeah. I beat cancer.
Yeah.
You have...
Yeah.
And that's a great example. I mean, that's a great example. If you beat cancer, it's going to be tough to scare your wife with adversity.
Yeah.
Honey, the house is, the house is flooded. She's not going to get as freaked out about it. She'll be like, that's okay. We don't have cancer.
I don't have cancer.
Right. I don't have cancer.
I beat that. So
I'm not dead.
Puts it in perspective.
It really does. And what I was getting at is that through staged stress and staged adversity, a.k.a. workouts, training, testing, can I do 10 burpees as fast as I can, jump up and get an arrow off in 5 seconds and make a good shot? It's going to be yes or no.
Yeah.
And so you're going to learn some stuff about yourself, and then you're going to take that into the mountains with you. You're also going to know where your red line is. So my point is that you will develop mental toughness through physical preparation. If I was a guide and I had a client come to me and say, I want to do a sheep hunt, and I'm like, great, you need to start training for it. I don't need to train, I'm mentally tough. I would laugh. I would be like, I would probably say, well, let's find out.
Yeah.
And I would probably go and try to
I've been there. I've taken that guy hunting before.
Have you? And what happened?
And he quit.
Yeah, because I mean, we see ourselves in the best light we can most of the time. Yeah. And even if we don't, we're gonna give people the perception that we do.
Yeah. I think often we just are like, I know it's gonna suck, but I can mentally just push through it. But your body and your mental toughness are tied together. You can't say, I just need one or the other.
Right.
You need they're a package deal.
That's right.
And so if you just go up there without the fitness and you just have the mental toughness, you're not gonna.
You can do it for one day.
I
would say that we could take anybody in this room, Brian. We could take him on a one-day smoker, and they'd make it. They'd make it, and they may even with minimal whining.
Yeah.
But day 2, they're going to be slower and a lot more whining. And day 3, they're not getting out of the sleeping bag.
That's, you got DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness.
Yeah, right.
Which seems to be a 40-year-old plus curse.
Always.
I swear I'll do a heavy workout, and the next day I'll be like,
man,
gosh,
I
feel good. I feel good. The day after that, I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
And they start to mix.
Sure.
And I can't keep track of which workouts were made me sore and which ones causing this thing here. And it just and that's what happens when I take a guy who's fresh. He's like the first day, he wakes up. He can't wake up the next morning, but he's not that sore. The third day, he can barely walk.
Yep. And he's Brian.
That comes from too like fitness. I mean, when you're fit, you recover. Like I can be in a state where I can do that smoking workout. The next day, wake up and I'm fresh.
And then you can optimize that even if you're great. Let's say that you're great at training, and this is kind of a whole nother can of worms, I guess. But you can train and do really, really well. But if you're going to go on a 10-day hunt, like I went on a 10-day sheep hunt with it was me, my brother, and my dad.
Yeah.
And we'd been talking about it, Brian, since we were kids, and it was something that we probably would never do, but we always thought about, man, how great it would be to be able to go on a sheep hunt. And what happened is we all trained. My dad was 60 years old.
Yeah.
And we went into Alaska, and we were so excited, man. We were so excited. We dropped in. We waved goodbye. We were just so stoked to be there. We took off. And it doesn't get dark in Alaska in sheep season. And we walked. That first day we walked. I don't know how far we walked, but we walked until like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And laid down, got up, and long story short, by day 3, we had a legal ram spotted.
Yeah.
From camp. And my dad was like, I can't get up there. His whole life. It's something that really sunk in. This is pre-trained to hunt, okay? It really sunk in that this guy has lived his whole life dreaming about being able to hunt sheep.
Yeah.
We have a sheep. We just have to climb 1,500 vertical feet, and we'll kill him. And he's asking us to go without him. You guys just go. And we did a couple things wrong. One, I asked my dad if he was training, and he was doing I think what a lot of people do. He was doing like the spin classes and the step classes and doing a little bit of weight training and
more traditional kind of old school stuff.
Yeah. The other thing that we didn't do, what I was kind of getting at, was we butchered our nutrition when we were up there. We butchered
It's
a whole another podcast, right?
Yeah.
But
I do want to get into it.
But we butchered it. Here's us, right? We're kind of fresh, like extreme adventure seeking hunters. First sheep hunt, and we're going in light. We're going to take the minimum amount of food. We count calories, and we're giving ourselves it was 2,200 calories a day.
Really?
So we went in just because we were planning on
dude, you guys are insane, dude.
No base camp.
I eat like 4,000 when I'm hiking like that.
Yeah. And now we know. I don't know what we were just thinking. let's do it minimal style, right?
Yeah.
And it's just go in the minimalist, like cut the handles off our toothbrushes and everything. And we did that. So we ended up being in there for 13 days. We not only did our nutrition terribly, I was bush too, and I was pretty young. I was maybe late 20s. I was in pretty good shape. I was still pretty young.
Yeah.
And I was bush too, because not nearly enough calories. In fact, day 2, my brother and I sat down to have a snack in the afternoon, and my brother looked at me and he said, "I could eat everything in my food bag right now." Everything.
Yeah, I've been there, dude.
Day 2.
I've been there.
Right? So we ran out of food on day 10, and we had to be in there for 3 more days. Thank God. The good news of the story is we got my dad out of the sleeping bag. We took 2 or 3 hours to make the climb, and he killed that sheep. And one of the best moments of my life. But we ate sheep. For 3 days. There was a guy that was coming out that flew his cub in, and went out, killed a ram, came back, and he was going out, and all he had left was a bag of microwave popcorn. And we are on the runway, and he's like, "How'd you guys do?" "Oh, we got this ram, man. We've been here we don't have any food." And he's like, "Well, I got some popcorn," and we put that on the fire. I did not have any idea that popcorn could taste like gold. It tasted like Halloween candy wrapped in bacon.
Yeah.
It was unreal. Like we. Don't want to spoil it, man. This is the best thing ever.
As you're getting older, body's aging.
Yep.
That's one thing I wanted to talk to you about was the part about how diet plays a role.
Okay.
Because we talked about earlier, and I still want to get into more detail on like mobility and workouts.
Yep.
But there's also the whole aspect of diet and getting the right nutrition to capitalize on all this exercise.
Right. And to answer your question, nutrition plays a vital part in your overall health and physical fitness.
Yeah.
Your whole life. The difference is that you can get away with it a little bit more when you're younger, and as you get older, just like this is where I'm at. The older I get, the more I realize that I can't get away with as much.
Yeah.
I can't get away with eating a whole pizza and getting up the next day and going for like just a grinder of a workout because I got carb hangover. Whereas when I was a kid, I could have eaten nothing but lollipops and candy bars.
Yeah.
And
no penalty.
So everybody's the same. I think. It really kind of starts with nutrition, Brian. You can get away with just having a really hot, and a lot of people do. I think some people have the mindset of, well, I train so hard, real high intensity, long workouts, double days, so I eat whatever I want.
Yeah.
You can get away with that for a while. But even as younger, you can only get away with it for a little while. You're going to end up getting hurt and wondering why. And then as you get older, you can't get away with it because you're going to have DOM so bad you can't hardly move.
Yeah, all my friends, I always tell them, you cannot out-exercise a bad diet.
You can't.
You just can't do it.
You can't do it.
As you get older, Michael Phelps is sitting there, Olympic swimmer, pounding McDonald's 10 times a day, but he's like 20-something.
That's right.
That's going to catch up.
And it will catch up. And it definitely will catch up. So you just have to have a good base. And here's my theory on nutrition. There's so much information out there that we're to the point where nobody even knows what to believe.
Yeah.
Nobody even knows what to believe. There's everything from eat saltines and a pot of coffee and you'll lose weight to the paleo diet, to the zone diet, to the primal diet, to everything.
The South Beach, Atkins.
Eat. Here's my advice when people ask me, like, just give me an elevator pitch on what should I be eating. I said, eat one ingredient food. Eat one ingredient food and eat as much of it as you want. You don't have to measure. You don't have to do any of that. If meat, a steak, if you get a steak out of the freezer, it's a steak. Yeah. It's a meat. It's meat.
Right.
If you eat an apple, there's no ingredient list on an apple.
Or foods without a label.
Yeah. Or Brussels sprouts or broccoli or kale or these really nutritious foods. Whole foods, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I believe. I believe that and as close to that as you can get.
Yeah.
And the smallest amount of sugar that you can get away with eating, and I'm talking about granulated sugar, like processed sugar.
Yeah.
The better off you're going to be, and the better you're going to feel. And if you can get real close to that, it's really that simple, Brian. I wish I had like this. I don't have a magic like. Well, I eat this many. I eat this much percentage of protein and this much percentage of carbs and this much percentage of fat. I do eat probably more fat than the regular. Than just a regular person because we're really misinformed about fat.
Yeah.
A lot of people think fat makes you fat. And it was one of the things that we, as Americans, I don't know why or somehow I
heard one of the biggest mistakes we made was naming a macronutrient after a
undesirable
state of your figure.
An undesirable
like fat, calling you fat and the macronutrient fat.
That's right.
We should have called it like oil.
We should have called it awesome.
Yeah.
we really should have.
Because
it's slow burning. It's a slow burning carb that is a necessity for eyeballs and brains.
And fat does not make you fat.
It doesn't make you fat.
That's not.
You know what makes you fat? Sugar makes you fat.
Sugar makes you fat.
How about this? How do you fatten up a steer? Do you give them like olive oil and fats? No, you give them grains and these sugars.
Sugar.
Yeah. Give them sugars and corn and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
They
get fat. We're the same way.
We get fat.
We're all
That's
animals.
Right. Yep. And I'm not saying cut out carbs. What I'm saying is cut out sugar.
Yeah.
Cut out sugar. Cut out processed foods. If it comes in a box, don't eat it.
Yeah. Dude, my daughter is doing a paper on a research deal for school. She's 12 years old.
Yep.
On fast food. So for the last 2 weeks, she's been researching and doing all stuff. Her paper scares the crud out of me because it's like they said that McDonald's or like a typical fast food burger is only 10% beef. Yeah. What's the other 90%? Kenton, Jesse, what is in there?
It's
like sawdust, silica. She had like named all these things that were not meat. It's not food.
10% beef. That's scary.
10%.
That's pretty scary.
And they did all these independent tests all the way up through Taco Bell, all of them. It's not even meat.
And they can get away with it. It's being regulated. It's not that it's not being regulated.
And then they have all those other things in there that are like linked to who knows what.
Yep.
And what they do to the buns, the meat's mostly sugar, the buns are mostly sugar.
Yep.
It's all just, it's weird, man.
Yep.
Well, Brian, I have a rule that I try to spread to as many hunters, and this is could be a really easy rule for most hunters.
Yeah.
And that is, if you don't know the area that the animal was born, how it lived, and how it died, don't eat its meat. Try it.
Yeah.
Don't eat its meat.
Yeah.
Like a fish, a fish is born in the stream, lived in the stream, you caught it out of the stream, and that's how it died.
Yeah.
But if you go to a nice restaurant, unless it's like marketed as organic grass-fed beef, and you pay $70 for an 8-ounce steak, and you still don't know.
Still don't know. Yep.
So if you know where that animal was born, how it lived and where it lived, and how it died and how it was processed, don't eat it. And it's pretty easy as hunters because we that's what we do. We go, we take responsibility for our own meats.
Yeah.
So if you can do that, number one, you'll find you'll eat way less fast food. You can't eat fast food that way, right? And if you do, you're going to be like, I can't eat meat, so I guess I'm just going to have to get the salad.
Yeah.
Don't eat any chicken. That stands for chicken, turkey, ham, pork, all of it. If you don't know,
that's pretty tough. That's tall order, dude.
It is a big tall order, but
especially for bow hunters.
But I mean, it is a tall order.
Yeah,
I agree. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying that if you're somebody out there, if it's a podcast listener out there going, I just want to be sure. Well, then be sure. Then no, you don't have to kill it yourself. You just know.
Yeah. And as we're talking about this with fat, and fat doesn't make you fat, sugar makes you fat, and all that. I started doing CrossFit from P90X, from basketball, started doing CrossFit. I had trouble getting into positions. We talked about that, mobility issues and stuff. But that was an eye-opener. I thought I was strong, realized there was huge gaps in my strength. Like, I could curl heavy stuff, put it overhead, but then my low back was pretty weak. Couldn't do a deadlift worth beans,
Right.
And so you start to realize that you've got weakness in your posterior chain or whatever. All that stuff, was eye-opening. But the biggest thing for me was there were 55 and 60-year-old athletes out there crushing me on the recovery. We would go work out. Yeah. We'd nail it. I beat them because I'm younger, faster.
Yep.
The next day, they'd come in and do it again. Next day, I couldn't walk.
Yeah.
And this was consistent, and I thought, well, I'll adapt. It just must be this new CrossFit
give
thing.
It some time, yeah.
I'll get there. 6 months goes by. I am sore chronically all the time, and I am not recovering any faster. And then I see these old dudes at the CrossFit Games doing workout after workout after workout, and I'm like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
What is the difference between them and me? And I had all these friends that were like, a few of them that were like, dude, you need to look into this whole paleo diet, this meat and vegetable thing. Yeah. Cut out, grains or cut out sugar, pushing this kind of thing. And I'm like, that's voodoo wacko.
Right.
I've seen the food pyramid.
The next thing.
Dude, I'm eating whole grains, the whole deal.
Whole wheat. I'm not eating white.
I'm having a bran muffin, oatmeal, and orange juice for breakfast. I'm killing it.
And your joints are all inflamed.
Right.
I'm killing it.
I'm killing it.
You're killing your joints.
And egg whites. No fat, no butter. Right?
And you're a fairly aware...
Dude, I read Lance Armstrong's book. I was following his endurance diet, man.
Wait. You were juicing?
You just weren't getting
that part. I didn't get.
Oh,
that wasn't.
You didn't get to that part.
I got
of the book.
So I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm seeing this.
Yeah.
Anecdotally, I was like, there's something different about what I started doing a little more. I put 2 and 2 together, and I realized the difference between them and me is. And they told me, look, I have arthritic knees, hips, elbow, joint, until I went to this non-inflammatory diet.
Yeah.
When I switched to this kind of food and this kind of diet, this paleo sort of, we'll just call it that, like caveman, whatever type diet, hunter-gatherer, they're like, the inflammation went away. That was an eye-opener for me. So I'm like, okay, because I took ibuprofen like it was a vitamin. I ate it like it was a food group for me. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Yeah. If I had a ball game, it was just a prophylactic. I took it before, during, and after the game.
Yeah.
And it kept me going, but it was having this really bad long-term side effect.
Yes.
But I had sort of been like, this is just part of age. It wasn't part of age. And what I realized when I switched, I did some reading. I read the Primal Blueprint. I think that was the first book I read. That was eye-opener. And I read The Paleo Solution, and I read some other books too. And then I started Googling some of this stuff and reading it. At that point, I was like, all right, I'm going to try this. And the whole low sugar thing for the first 2 weeks was so bizarre and so difficult. And I was hungry all the time. I had just been burning sugar for so long that I was going through some serious withdrawals.
Yeah.
And then once I got past that and I started burning fat more efficiently and I was consuming a lot more fat in my diet and I started going back to I'd have bacon, eggs, and avocado for breakfast. And I didn't really care about calorie intake. Didn't care anymore. I was just trying to get used to eating fat. I was like, I'll get the calorie thing down later. For now, if I'm hungry, I'm just going to eat fat.
Quality. Right.
And push it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And over time, the inflammation did not go away overnight. I did notice huge improvements right away. Introduced omega-3 oils and some fish oil and stuff. It didn't go away overnight, though. But after 2, 3, 4 months, and then a year, dude, I can hammer a workout at 41, go home, wake up the next day, and be pretty dang good.
Yeah,
that was unheard of at 35 on the other diet.
And the only thing you did different was diet.
Yeah,
diet and range of motion. But it's amazing. I'll tell you, the biggest question I get about diet. And I guarantee you there's a listener out there right now, you, saying, but what are you going to do? You're not going to pack a bushel of apples and steaks with you into the backcountry. You're not eating that in the backcountry, which is true. which is true. However, you have to look at like a 5-day hunt or a 7-day hunt or a 3-day hunt, even an overnight hunt for that matter.
Yeah.
If you're packing it in, that's game day.
Yeah.
Okay. Triathletes drink Coca-Cola on a bike if it works for them to give them a spark, to get that quick burn, get them to the transition area.
Yeah.
And so they'll drink 30 grams of sugar to restore those glycogen stores and so they get them there, right?
Yeah.
But they're not doing that in training. What we've been talking about is a day-to-day lifestyle. What I always get is, but so what are you supposed to do about the backcountry? You can't cut on that. You're not going to bring in like heads of like broccoli and I'm like, okay, you're right.
Foods and all that.
But what you can do is you can still limit your sugar intake and you can do the best you can with lightweight stuff.
Dude, there's a lot you can do.
You can do a lot.
You can do a lot.
I don't know if you know about this, but there's 2 companies right now.
Heather's Choice.
And Paleo Meals to Go that are doing freeze-dried, all organic,
backcountry
no,
meals.
no
crap.
extra ingredients.
Dude, Mountain House is like poison.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but it's just the sodium levels, the preservatives, all that stuff. I hate that stuff. But then
it's a necessary evil sometimes, right?
It feels like it.
It's better than nothing.
I quit though.
Yeah. It's better than nothing.
My sister just ordered these freeze-dried foods, in like peas. Here's the chicken, and then she just put together her own. So we had like Thai peanut.
That's smart.
Rice, and we had chicken, and then like curry one, and like all these different ones that she just handmade, which didn't have all the preservatives and all the crap in it. And she put some own spices, and they're just in a Ziploc, and you just add the hot water, seal it, eat it. Well, that's what I ate this year, and it was awesome.
Like how to do it for your energy levels, because most people are biggest concern is their calorie intake, and that
And what I did in the past was I'm like, okay, I'm only hunting 5, 6 days, 7 days in the wilderness. Then I come home, I recover, I lose weight, I feel like crap. I come home, I recover, I go back again.
Right.
But if this year I hunted a lot more. If I hunt 2 weeks straight, 14 days, that's a lot of abuse.
A lot.
To eat that kind of food for 14 days, then come back for 3 or 4 days and go back and hunt another 7 days on that kind of, that's almost a month on that kind of food.
Yeah.
It's taking too much of a toll.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose weight. And that's the other thing is I used to work out, do all this CrossFit kind of stuff, be fit, be strong, have these good numbers, like compete a little bit in like games and stuff, and then regional or like just fun stuff, local competitions, then go out and lose like 50 pounds on my back squat and come back like 5 months behind where I was.
Start over.
Just from taking 3 weeks off.
Yeah.
That's a lot of penalty, and that's because I was going out and eating sugar for 3 weeks.
Yep.
And then coming home.
Yep.
And not only am I burning all my muscle, and I'm repairing all the broken muscle tissue from healthy muscle tissue and all this other stuff that whatever metabolically happens.
Yeah.
I come back smaller, skinnier, tired,
less muscle.
Well, and you will. I mean, you will over the course of a hunt. I mean, you're.
But I think if you eat right, there's no reason for that.
No, and you can. And what
you
I
can
did,
limit it.
What I did this year. I mean, we all have to drive there, right?
Yeah.
So even if you're going into the backcountry, I just bring a bunch of extra, like avocados and tuna packets.
Same here, like my base camp, I got real food. Like, I got those whole foods.
Yeah.
We do a giant fry up and stuff, and so you can replenish. If you're in for 3 days, you shoot something, you bring it back, you're back at the truck eating elk steaks and whole foods.
Yeah. And you're just putting that stuff back in your body.
And then you can back in again with the freeze-dried stuff.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But you can make your own freeze-dried. Yes, it takes more work. My wife and I have these arguments, right? I'm going to out her right here on the podcast.
Here it comes.
Uh-oh.
Wait. Are you sure?
I'm going to go there.
Okay.
So we have these. She's
What's
real
your wife's
good,
name?
but Suzanne. He's serious lack of sleep right now. It's out of love.
Yeah, of course.
It's all comes from a good place.
Yeah.
And and she's been really good at times. After the cancer, after chemo, after gaining a ton of weight and being on prednisone and just kind of getting through it, you get into some bad habits.
Sure.
And then here we are. She's feeling strong and she's getting healthy and she's going to the gym. But some of those habits are kind of sticking around.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, we've had these discussions, right? Like, honey, don't bring it in the house if you don't want to eat it. Well, I got to feed the kids. It's easier to feed the kids this.
Yeah.
And it all comes down to convenience.
All of it.
Yeah.
It's all about, well, this is easy. I don't want to spend an hour cooking all night,
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be done in 5 minutes and move on, 10 minutes, and I have other things to do.
Yeah.
So, and I won't deny it, usually eating this way, it's a bigger commitment. It takes more effort. It's a little harder to cook. It's a little harder to prepare. Like, you're not going to just come out and grab that squash and start eating it. You got to put it in the oven. You know, it's like you got to do your thing to it.
Yeah.
At the same time, after eating this way for so long, there's so many options now that I just grab and go with that I hadn't even considered before.
Yep.
It just took a little mindset change and a little practice.
That's right.
Yeah.
And being disciplined feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really does. As good as and a lot of people understand that have stuck to a program and went and did it even when they didn't want to. Like, man, I really don't want to work out, but they did it, and then they got the results they were looking for, and how good that felt.
Yeah.
Being disciplined in your diet feels that good.
Yeah.
It does. When you make
especially when you're getting those results.
When you make it those 30 days and you've been, without sugar.
Yeah.
Go 30 days without sugar and see what happens. I guarantee you that if you're somebody who has a daily dose of their sugar, their ice cream or their candy or their cookie or whatever, as small as it, if you have a daily dose and you're like, man, I've been struggling for so long, just do nothing but cut the sugar out of your diet and watch.
You will be blown away.
Yeah. And it will be.
At first, it's hard.
And it will be as hard as trying to stick to a new training program.
Yeah.
But it will feel as good as sticking to that program. It's just, it feels really good to be disciplined.
Dude, I go through I think they have a name for it, but my brain goes in the toilet when I'm switching from this high sugar diet to this fat burning diet.
Yeah.
There's a transition there where my brain is like
foggy.
It is not working. It's dull.
Yeah.
And then and then I ramp up and I can tell I'm burning fat and it gets sharper. And then I have a desk job where I'm at a computer a lot.
Yeah.
When I'm on this kind of the earlier diet, I used to get sleepy.
Yeah.
I am almost never sleepy, just especially if I eat food.
Yep.
Yeah.
There used to be a time whenever I ate, I was just beat down for an hour or two after I ate. That whole insulin reaction.
Yeah, it's the whole bran muffin orange juice.
Yeah, totally. And now that never happens. Yeah. It's like I eat and I just keep on rocking.
And you feel better.
I feel better.
Yeah.
I feel good.
And I would say you probably don't have to work out as much as you used to before on the sugar diet, right?
Absolutely true. There used to be, so I was 210. Right now I'm about 190.
Wow.
I was 210. I was lifting weights a lot. And I was like, I'm just getting thick. I'm maturing.
It's amazing what we tell ourselves, isn't it?
Well, and it goes back to you figure, you're adding a pound a month.
Yeah.
12 months, that's 12 pounds. 4 years, 5 years, 60 pounds.
Yeah.
It didn't happen overnight, dude. It was 1 pound a month.
Yeah.
That's so slow. That's a quarter pound a week.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you go from 40 years old to 45 years old, and you're 60 pounds heavier.
And you're like,
what did I do wrong? Oh, I'm just aging. And you sit there and you try to cut back on your whole grain. You try to eat more whole grains, and you try to cut back on the sugar and stuff. And a lot of times people just go low fat, which is a big mistake. Because then you're just hungry all the time.
Yeah.
Whatever they do, it took a long time to get fat, longer than you realize.
Yeah.
And I'm 210. I'm sitting here going, how can I be 210? I look at Rich Froning, 190 pounds. I don't look like Rich. Okay? I'm 210. We're both 5'10". I don't look like Rich.
Rich is,
You're close.
But but seriously, though, it crossed my mind. I'm like, that guy looks like, to me, with his shirt off, like Schwarzenegger. 230 pounds of just shredded. And it changed my whole mindset. I was like, if he's 190 and I'm 210, I got a lot of fat on me that I didn't know I had.
Yeah.
And so when
I refused to believe it.
Totally. So when I started paying attention, that fat just sort of burned out of my gut. It just burned from places I didn't really know. Mm-hmm. And I got down to a very comfortable weight, and then I just kind of hover there without any effort.
Yeah.
I don't exercise a lot. I really don't like I want to. But the diet, like you said.
Yeah, I've got a question, though, for both of you guys, too, because I find I've got 5 kids. I know you've got kids, and you've got kids, right?
Yeah.
So, like, what do you hold the kids to? You know what I mean? Like, when you bring it in the house, the wife just wants to be done with cooking, you know? And
I'll tell you what I do. Because if Suzanne buys bread and brings it in the house or a box of cereal, I go get it out of the cupboard and I go put it in the garbage can.
Okay.
It's just...
Yeah.
They're eating how I'm eating.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
And sometimes she gets upset because, you know, she'll come home with a loaf of bread. They're just going to have, like, you know, meat and cheese sandwiches, and they just need something to put it in between. And I'm like, they can just have meat and cheese.
Yeah. They don't need bread, right?
They don't need the bread.
Right.
Yeah. And that was really that we fought about that for a while.
Yeah.
Just because it was a convenience thing. And she's like, the kids are tough. Well, I look at what I ate as a kid.
Yeah.
And the food that was there, and it's only gotten worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has.
The food is, 30 years ago, I was 10 years old. The food supply was better then. It just didn't have all the chemicals and all the crap in it that it does today. So to me, I'm like, I can't afford to let my kids eat this stuff, with BHT and, who knows what else in there. I just can't do it. So my kids, they eat like I do.
Yeah. They exactly.
And what's funny is they now don't like bread.
Yeah.
One of my daughters
doesn't like it.
She just likes sugar. I mean, she just likes sugar, donuts, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
But the other two are like, throw the bun off. They get something at like some kind of group thing. They're like they ditch the bread, they ditch a lot of the sugar, and they actually like and crave
the meat and vegetables and whatever.
That's cool.
I'll tell you, for me, we bounce back and forth. For the most part, we found a chicken source that my kids will eat. It's not it's not a chicken nugget, but it's like it's chicken that they'll eat. It's a protein source that they'll eat.
Yeah.
And it's a constant. Like they will, if they won't eat any, like we always make our dinner some sort of meat and vegetable, potato, something. Yeah. And then if they're like, I don't want to eat that, then we just go to the go-to. We stick it in the broiler and we got chicken. But my kids like Brussels sprouts. They like green beans. They like vegetables, which is amazing because my wife, I don't think there's a single vegetable she likes. She has eaten a lot of fruit, but
dude, my wife
does not like vegetables.
My wife doesn't like vegetables either.
Yeah.
Oh, she likes them, but she has to get into eating them.
Yeah.
Like after getting away from them,
Yeah.
And it's just a mindset. Like she'll go buy all this stuff, put it in the fridge, but then I'm single-handedly eating it all.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you relate.
Yeah. I do.
And I'm so I start making foods for her.
Yeah.
When I make a salad, I make a salad for her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you need to eat this? And she'll be like, okay, And then once she gets into the habit and stuff,
it's good.
She's good. But it took a lot of work. And then the whole cancer and sickness sort of derailed a lot of that just because you're just trying to survive. Time-wise. I was a single dad for a while.
Yeah, you were. Thank God she's back and healthy and back to being mom and wife.
And I tried at the time, too, to not let that be an excuse, right? But some family brings us dinner.
Yeah.
And it was and that's an eye-opener, too.
Yeah.
I really appreciated all the kindness that people showed us, bringing us a meal. But a lot of those meals are the typical meals that we stopped eating a long time ago. And it is an eye-opener to see what people are eating on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, I
haven't had
that.
Chicken Alfredo for for years.
How do you guys feel like you're sacrificing?
I don't at all. I did it first, and I think a lot of it's just maturing and coming to grips with you're not going to live forever. You're not indestructible. You have to take care of yourself, and I don't feel like I'm sacrificing. I really don't.
I don't either. I feel like the fat part of it changed everything for me. So if you were to cut out the carbs, but not replace that macronutrient with fat, then I'd feel gypped.
You'd feel hungry, is what you'd feel.
Yeah, hungry too. Like, so, when I have a sweet potato with like really fatty whipped cream on top of it, hardly any sugar, or none.
Yeah.
And I have like bacon wrapped avocado with some, with some salad, and some stuffed sweet peppers or whatever. I'm looking at that and I'm like, I don't feel like I'm sacrificing, dude.
No, there's got to be some drooling people.
I throw a steak on there, and it's like those are all low carb, high fat kind of choices.
Brian, there's something that I think we really should define fat. There's probably somebody out there right now going, isn't fat just like lard, lard or something? Fat is avocado and olives and olive oil and avocado oil and nuts and seeds and coconut oil. And
butter
and grass-fed
butter,
high-fat dairy.
Yeah. That's what fat is. Fat isn't.
Cottage cheese.
We're not, Brian.
No.
We're not going out there and taking Crisco and just eating Crisco.
No.
We're eating good, high-quality fat.
True. Yeah. And that has a lot, I think, to do with managing inflammation.
Yeah. For sure.
The way that I understood it, and I've explained it before, it kind of at a basic level, omega-6 oils cause inflammation. Help us when we sprain an ankle. Boom, we need those oils in our system to inflame the area. It's part of the healing process. But then we need those omega-3s to clear that inflammation when it's time. Like, okay, let's make that swelling go away, and we're all jacked up on just the omega-6 side.
Right.
Because of the food choices that are in our lives. So like you said, when you tend to choose meat and products from places where they came from, you're getting omega-3s with that.
Yeah.
And you throw in some high-quality fish oil or something, or add more wild fish to your diet.
Yep.
Now you're getting all these omega-3s that are they just make the inflammation.
Yeah.
It's a night and day. Mm-hmm. That's why the doctors prescribe omega-3 to old folks that are having, arthritic issues.
Yeah.
But so many people, I think, that's not what they think when they see fat.
No, when they think fat, they think, they probably think stuff like butter and Crisco and any kind of oils, and they think oil's bad. Vegetable oil is bad.
I'm not saying eat a potato chip.
Yeah, I'm not. Don't think, so I should go eat everything deep fat fried in vegetable oil. No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying go bread everything and deep fat fry everything.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, for example, you're in the backcountry, you break open your dehydrated meal, and you want to get an extra 250 calories, put a teaspoon of olive oil or coconut oil in there.
Yeah.
Stir it up, hit some Tabasco in there, and down the hatch.
One of the things I've noticed is that I kind of took for granted after doing CrossFit for a few years, this whole diet thing.
Yeah.
Well, then I started talking about it on the podcast, and I just touched on it once or twice, just kind of lightly with Aaron, just discussing ideas.
Yeah.
I could not believe how many people, it was the first time it had really crossed their path, this discussion. And then all the kind and awesome emails we got, lost 50 pounds, I've been losing weight since, I feel so much stronger, I'm healthier than I've ever been. I had no idea that
amazing
about this diet stuff. And you go out there and there's so much misinformation, like you said, like the food pyramid.
Yeah.
People are like, well, you eat this, this, and this, and
grains.
Yeah, at the base, more than anything else, eat grains. It's sugar.
Wrong.
And then at the very top, just eat a little bit of meat.
Yeah.
It's
all upside down.
Little tiny fat. And so we're flipping that upside down.
Yep. And it's great. I love what the CrossFit community, and really we can thank the CrossFit community for that.
Yeah.
That it's brought the whole awareness of of eating like a caveman and training like a caveman and being prepared for anything from a competition to the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, for real.
And I love that people are becoming more aware, and it's like you said, it's hard to wrap my mind around the fact that
you've been eating like this for a while,
and the majority of people have no idea what we're talking about.
No.
Yeah,
Now your listeners, they probably do
Some
because
do.
I've heard you.
Yeah,
and-
we've been talking about
and
it
they probably
before.
fit, but most people don't know what they're talking about. And
I'm telling you, man, at 41,
it makes a difference.
it's huge.
Yeah.
And my fitness level, I'll go to the gym and I'll beat 20-year-olds on a regular basis simply because of my diet. You know?
Yeah, for sure. Because they went out the night before and had pizza and
And a
probably
beer.
2 or 3 beers.
Yeah. Yep.
And they're like, man, why is this old guy beating me?
Yeah.
I know why. I ain't going to tell you, sucker.
Yeah, I got to give props to my wife, too. I mean, like, just because my wife has been
Great. I throw mine under the bus.
Yeah, I know.
and he's
Both
like-
of you guys threw yours under the bus.
He set us
but
up, Brian.
I did. I
set us
totally
up.
set you up for this because my wife is.
My wife's an angel.
She is. I mean, she's the health conscious food person, and
Yeah.
I was just like, bring home pizza every night, you
Yeah.
know. And
She got you on the right track.
Yeah, and she just well, here, have this salad. Here, have some avocado. And I'm like, I hate avocado. And I'm like, I
What's
never
wrong
tried it.
with you?
Right?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wait, I love avocado,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And so she's got me getting into this. And, you know, the funny thing is my kids loved vegetables, right?
Yeah.
They loved vegetables. In fact, the funniest story I've got, right, my middle son, Ezra, he's 10 now. Well, when he was like 6, right, we're walking through Fred Meyer, and he looks over, and there's a rack there. And he goes, Mom, what are those bagels with M&Ms on them? And she goes, what? And she's like, yeah, they're just bagels with M&Ms, right? Keep going, you know. And I'm like, and she came over to me and she's like, Jesse, Ezra thinks those are bagels with M&Ms, and they're donuts.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He's never seen a donut before.
That's funny.
Right. And so I'm like, I got to give props to my wife, you know,
Yeah.
for just like, no, I'm not going
It's
to
not
feed
part of
my
it.
kids
The family.
crap.
Yeah.
Right. And so yeah, I mean, you know, we don't like fully like, all right, you're paleo kids,
Yeah.
you know, and
we
When you drive by McDonald's, you don't punch your kids.
No, my kids go.
McDonald's punch.
My kids go. There's crap in those burgers.
Yeah, mine too. My daughter's now afraid to eat after doing her own research. I mean, I think that's another thing to do is information's out there.
Yeah.
Let your children, as they get older, actually read about it.
Yeah.
She's already like, I don't want to eat that.
They're not stupid.
She's now reading labels before, and she's like, Mom, did you know this has
Wow.
This has yellow 5. We're not eating it.
We're not
You know?
supposed to eat yellow 5.
Yeah, and so
That's
she's
amazing.
hilarious.
That's
It's
amazing, yeah.
Like
So
my
good.
kids do the same thing with soda. You know, we're like, okay, read it.
Yeah.
What, you really want to drink this chemical?
Yeah.
You know, do
Yeah.
you know what that's
It's
going to
pretty-
do? You know,
Yeah.
and they're like, oh, we can't have this. We can't have this.
Information's
And,
everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
So on the because we've been chatting for a while, we
Little
could go
bit.
around and around.
We
We'll
can.
have to do this again another time
For sure.
on the train to hunt deal. If people sign up and they're getting the training,
Yeah.
Okay. One of the questions I had for Jesse, and I'd like to get your explanation here.
Because you'll do a better job than I did.
Yeah,
I murdered
like
it, dude.
so. What if a guy's like pretty fit and the workout's too easy, or vice versa? It's just too hard. He can't get into those positions or do the moves.
Okay. So since I have a CrossFit background,
Yeah.
and
Because I'm picturing like main sight WOD
Yep.
kind of thing, and it's just
And-
you can scale it and stuff, but
Yeah.
what's it look like?
we scale it for them. Okay, so when you log on to traintohunt.com, you can get your free week and check it out. That's number one. Up front, you can just see what's you're being beckoned.
Yeah, I see that.
And you're going to find that every day, Monday through Saturday, there's a workout. We take Sundays off. We don't work out on Sundays. That's a family day for us.
Recovery.
and recovery but you're going to have the workout of the day. It says train to hunt workout of the day.
Yep.
Okay. Stole workout of the day from CrossFit. And this is a version that I believe when I'm making this up, and the people who are making workouts up, they've been directed to.
Yeah.
To make it so that their grandma can do it.
Yeah.
If you don't think your grandma could do this workout, it's too hard.
Okay.
Because I want everybody that goes to the site to be able. I don't want anybody to look at that workout and go, "I can't do that. I can't do it." And then because it's just deflating.
Everybody starts somewhere.
Deflating, right?
And just it's you're right.
Yeah.
There's a mindset that immediately like forget it.
I can't do it. And you know what? I was guilty of this in my CrossFit box. So what I would do is I would put the workout of the day, and then I would scale it down for the people that needed it scaled down. in my opinion, it was a mistake that I made for 5 full years. And I don't even remember who brought it up to me. It was my brother, my dad, or somebody.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, why don't you make the workout of the day the realistic one, and then have the people who can scale up, because in that way, because there's something about having to scale down that just kind of makes you feel like
psychologically, you
right?
just lose
I
it.
didn't RX it.
Yeah.
If RX is the hardest one, because for 5 years, man, I can't wait till I can RX. I can't wait till I can RX. But so what Train to Hunt did, I kind of got sidetracked. What Train to Hunt has done is, this is the workout this is RX.
Yeah.
Anybody can do this. My grandma can do this.
Yep.
And then man, I've been training a little bit. I've been doing some CrossFit stuff, but I'm kind of new to some of these Train to Hunt movements. I'm checking it out. Then you got the warrior version, which is a step up, which would mean everybody, basically anybody who is in good health, in pretty good health, could do the workout, but it might be kind of hard for them. And then I say, hey, the predator version, what I call the predator version, I say, see if you can make somebody stop in the middle of the workout. See if you
real,
see if
real
you,
serious.
See if you can make a guy go,
forget it.
This is crazy. Because here's the thing: if you do that, even though there might be a pretty good gap between the warrior version and the predator version, guys who are doing those workouts have enough knowledge that they can scale it.
They're already in tune.
They're
to
all
their
kind
own
of in
fitness
tune. The level.
Yeah.
They
It
can
might
go.
say RX might be 200 pounds, and you're going to be like, or 100 pounds, and you're going to be like, yeah, I'm equipped to do 80.
I'm close, but I'll do 80.
And I've done that. I sometimes I'll do the warrior version on weight, and then I'll do the max reps for predator.
That's interesting, because the other way, the athletes aren't as skilled to make that assessment.
Right.
So just having that, just flat out ABC.
Yep.
That makes it a lot easier. The guys that are more advanced, they can scale it.
They can scale it
on their own.
Yeah.
They have enough, athlete awareness and experience. They can do that.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted the RX or the workouts or the program really to be for. I've never worked out, but I heard that I can shoot my bow when I work out.
We're wrapping up.
I really want to do this. And get on there, and that's why I have videos for everything, and that's why the workout of the day is the easiest version.
Yeah.
And goes up from there. And so if you are somebody out there who's saying, hey, I'm looking for something different. I'm tired of being out of shape. I've tried a lot of different things. I know the CrossFit community, but I just maybe don't have the time or the money or really the desire to go out there and compete with those guys. Train to Hunt, give it a shot.
Totally.
You will definitely.
I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I've been suckered. I mean,
Good.
I got to do it.
Good. And hey, I even got an event around the whole program.
Yeah.
right around the program, because hunters need something other than just September to look forward to.
Yeah.
And train for. So I said, let's make this event in the middle of the summertime to train for. They hit the event. They get a measuring stick. They improve on their weaknesses. They go hunting, and it's awesome. And it's been really fun, Brian. It's been
I'm excited for the community, because
and it is.
Because I know in my own CrossFit box at home that I've been going to. My wife had cancer, and we did a whole fan fundraiser around it, and the whole community bringing us dinner and all that. It's just a great atmosphere. And one of the first things I keyed into with Train to Hunt was it just seemed like a lot of that, and I value that community a lot. And so participating just to be part of that community to me is a big part of it. You meet hunters that have the same kind of values and ideals, and it's neat.
You won't be disappointed.
Nope.
Well, Brian, I myself, I owned a CrossFit box for 5 years, and I competed at regionals 4 years in a row, qualified for the CrossFit Games the last year, and I got fourth. The 2 years prior to that, I got fourth as an individual, and then fourth on a team, and then we got third on a team, and qualified for the games. And I was with you. The above all of that was the community, and having somebody that was your competitor, was just cheering for you. Come on, and the last person out there that is dead last gets the biggest cheer.
Yeah.
This community, this
I've
train to
seen
hunt
that.
community.
Yeah, like that.
Exactly.
Yep.
It's to the T. The only difference is everybody shoots bows and kills stuff in the fall. That's it.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
really the only difference is everybody shoots and kills stuff in the fall.
Well, guys, thanks for coming on, dude.
Brian,
We're going to do this some more.
Appreciate it, man. I really do. I'd come back anytime.
All right, guys. Stay gritty.
Stay gritty.
Okay, Gritty friends, I hope you enjoyed that podcast. If you did, please take a moment to leave us a review on iTunes, Podbean, or Stitcher. We love reading your reviews. And connect with us on social media if you're on there. Look us up on Facebook and Instagram, and take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can receive notifications when we upload new videos. We've got a sweet deal with Mountain Ops. You get 20% off on all Mountain Ops supplements, combo packs, and apparel when you type in the word gritty at checkout. If you're a hardcore elk hunter, or you want to be, go to the Elk 101 website online and check them out. Our friend Corey Jacobson is killing it with some of the best elk hunting information and entertainment on the web. If you haven't heard, we're doing a huge gear giveaway to try and grow and expand the Gritty community on Facebook and Instagram. I asked a bunch of friends to pitch in on this gear giveaway, and they all came through with some awesome stuff. Our friends at Kafaru, Rockslide, First Light, Phelps Game Calls, One Shot Gear, Mountain Ops, Triple X Archery, Blacktail Outdoors, and Is It September Yet are pitching in some sweet gear for the giveaway. We'll announce all the details in the next few weeks. All you have to do to be entered to win is like our Gritty Bowmen Facebook page and follow us on Instagram. All right, friends, let me leave you with one other quote from Theodore Roosevelt, who said, "It behooves every man to remember that the work of the critic is of altogether secondary importance, and that, in the end, progress is accomplished by the man who does things." We all have a choice. We can be people who do things or people who criticize the work of others. It's pretty simple, really. Get out there and do your thing. Good luck on your hunts, and stay gritty.
This is Ty Stubblefield, and you're listening to the Gritty Bowmen.
Gritty Bowmen.